lie begin. Pussy niggas get served. Another bridge to burn. Either live or you learn. Digits get earned. Off the head top, it ain't perm. Never been the type to curl like Big Worm. Catch your fade over your shoulder. Try to test my release. You get deceased. Smoke like the kush overseas from Middle East. No beast. I ain't touched that shit since 12 or 13. Ducking 12 from lurking while we skelling murk things. Counterclock my life and still laughing most of the timeline. Try to come between me and Fetty, a fine line.
So with another day of Eagles training camp in the books, I got a lot to talk about, man. First and foremost, this was Jalen Hurts' best day of training camp thus far. He had 3 passing TDs on the day. He did throw a pick, but he was far more aggressive with the football, throwing it down the field, and I think it's just a product of what we're working on at the time. We were working on a lot of red zone stuff. We were working on a lot of, intermediate gotta have it stuff, I think, today. And, at the end of the day, we're going to only show parts of the offense that we want to show when we want to show it in training camp. And it's when we want to work on these things and when we want to hyper focus on these things. I think we have a game plan, man. And I wasn't like overly worried over the weekend on how the offense looked. Elliott Shore Parks made a statement saying that dude should ultimately look to add another skill player, and then he comes back today and says, "Oh, that could be put to rest and put to bed." We have plenty of skill players on this team, man, that could get it done. And honestly, I'm loving how the offense is looking. I'm loving that we're trying different things and we're showing different looks. And it's only going to make us better in the long run, man, when we add more tools to the toolbox. So a couple players did talk to the media today. Nolan Smith addressed the media, apologized for his actions, for the speeding arrest that he got when he was down in Georgia. He was doing a $130 and a 75. And, he said that those things cannot happen and will not happen going forward. And he understands that he needs to ball out this year. He understands that, the odds are not necessarily in his favors, given the fact that we traded for Jonathan Grenard, plus the fact that Jalix Hunt is ascending, before us, right? Like right now, Jalix Hunt is playing on defense, probably the best out of any defender, arguably out of any defender in camp, the way that he's been shining and getting in the backfield. So you really just got to look, I've brought up last week about Nolan Smith, with Grenard out, Nolan Smith trying to step up and get reps. But I mean, like, Abekeki is making plays out there. You know what I mean? He almost had a pick in coverage today on Jalen Hurts. So you really got to step it up, Nolan, if you want to lock in the spot and if you want to get extended beyond the 5th-year option that we picked up on you. Moro Jomo also talked to the media today, and he, what I found interesting is he brought up Uar Bernard, and he said that Uar is still what I assumed, wet behind the ears. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know the difference between an A gap and a B gap yet. Like Fangio said over, I think it was on Saturday, let's slow our expectations down on what Uar Bernard is because he hasn't played a lick of football. Today was his first day wearing shoulder pads. You know what I mean? So let's just develop, train, and teach him how to play the game. This year, he probably won't ever see the field. He might see it in preseason if he's lucky. But this is going to be a slow, gradual thing. We're banking on his physicality. We're banking on his just build up. Like, he's a freak of nature, but if you don't know how to use it, then he's just an athlete that doesn't know how to play. So we have to slow up the expectations on him, but it is encouraging that Moro Jomo is helping him out in that aspect. I also want to talk about the um, linebacker situation right now. Jahad Campbell did miss some time, and Jeremiah Trotter did replace him. And when Trotter replaced him, Trotter did make some plays. And I will say this, I think that some people are embracing an open competition at that linebacker spot. And I think we've invested way too much into Jahad Campbell to not give him that fair shot. Not saying we didn't invest anything into Trotter and Trotter doesn't deserve it, but I also think that with given Zach Bond's age and just given the fact that the timeline kind of aligns for Trotter to sit one more year and be that third linebacker in certain packages and to come in and also ball the fuck out when we need him to ball out if somebody does get hurt, which very well could happen. Linebacker is a physical position. I think that Trotter is the next guy in line. I think that because we restructured Bond, there's a good chance that Zach Bond may not be on this team next year. And the reality of the situation is Smile Munden's development got to step up. We might have to draft another linebacker or sign another one in free agency for the low. And it's going to be Trotter and Campbell, which I'm cool with. Even though Bond is an all pro caliber type linebacker, who's to say he's going to be that in the next year or so? It's hard to say. Um, but I think Trotter can be here in the long run and still can fit in as a role player. Personally, I want to see Jahad Campbell ascend to that next level. Um, I think a lot of people forget about his coverage grade when he was the starter before Nakobe Dean came back, and the plays that he made, interception against the Bucks, the forced fumble that he had. When he eventually came back and got some burn in the Bills game, he made a great play, making a hustle play, recovering that fumble that Josh Allen had. So I really think that Jahad Campbell has a knack for the football a lot more than a Jeremiah Trotter would. But Jeremiah Trotter is super sound. And I think both of them long term in the future can be a yin to the yang, almost like how Bond was to Nakobe. So I think that we're in a good position right now to develop and also compete at multiple positions, on defense at least, I would say. Safety, I still think there's a concern there. I still think that we need to add more safety depth at the very least or upgrade at the safety position. Because one injury, anything that can happen will shorten the depths on this team. And I really don't want to be put in a position where we got to play Cooper DeJean full time at safety and have Michael Carter play the slot or something like that. So I do think we need to make a move there versus where they said we need to make a move at a skill player. I think that was more of an overreaction, especially the way that Hurts came out today, gunslinging. And it really goes to show with Jalen Hurts that he's listening to what people are saying, even though I do think it's most of it has to do with what the team is implementing. But he wanted to show off a little bit because even they said even with the first pass was just he just threw it right across the middle to Elijah Moore for a touchdown. So like he was not playing no games. He wanted to get that monkey off his back today, and he definitely did so. And I do want to end this video just to talk about uh the hypocrisies, man. Like just the things that national media and also people say about Jalen Hurts, where they they forget about the intangibles that he has, and they ultimately just box score watch in certain aspects where they're only looking at the numbers, they're looking at the stats, they're not putting context behind anything. And I hate the fact that some people just have this notion that Jalen Hurts is never nothing without a run game, and Jalen Hurts ain't nothing without Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts was nothing without Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift. Like Jalen Hurts literally doesn't add any sort of aspect to winning if the running game isn't working. There's been plenty of games where I've seen the running game not working, especially last year where the running game wasn't working. Was the running game working when we were losing to the Rams? Was the running game working when we were playing the Vikings? Was the running game working then? I just hate when people want to pick and choose when it's like, oh, he needs the running game to work. He needs a 2,000-yard rusher. If he doesn't go off for 1,700 yards rushing, then he's going to not be good, and this team is going to be in big trouble. Like, until we don't make the playoffs, stop bringing up Big Trouble. Because Big Trouble is 4 and fucking 13. Big Trouble is 5. That's how I see Big Trouble. Us winning the NFC East for a third consecutive year and getting to the divisional round and losing or some shit like that, that ain't Big Trouble to me. The expectation in Philly is winning. I'm sorry that the expectation for your favorite team ain't fucking winning. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they moved the goalposts when it comes to Jalen Hurts. They moved the goalposts when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, where it's like they try to make you as a fan not even enjoy it unless you're winning the fucking Super Bowl. And it was never like that. We, even after we won our first Super Bowl, the years we was making the playoffs and shit, it was never like that. Yes, we wanted to win, but it was never like, it was like, yo, like we have to fucking win and this and that. Because ultimately, when we big up a player, um, oh, that player's over fucking rated. The Eagles are over fucking rated. Then when we try to say that Jalen Hurts is good, oh, you have a super team. Like they don't fucking make up their fucking minds when it comes to like what they want to say. They just want to talk. They just want to talk. And it's like, I want context. I want facts behind shit. I just don't want you splurting out like, well, if you don't have an elite run game, not even putting in context what he adds to that elite run game. But I'm out of here, man. It's going to be a short video for me. I'll be back within the week with more training camp news for y'all. This is Talking Sporty. It's your boy Zaho Facts. Skzzzzzzzzz.